Germain Grangier, welcome to Silverton, Colorado. Less than 2 days ahead of your first running of Hardrock. How are you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing good, yeah. Pretty excited.
So you're part of the French contingent here, the deep French contingent in the 2025 Hardrock 100. What are your first impressions of being here in Silverton? Because it's kind of a wild place.
Yeah, you're right. It's a lot of French people here, so that's kind of funny. We have our little community, so we can speak French when we get too overwhelmed with the American stuff going on. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, I like Silverton. I really enjoyed the Saint John. I would say I really like the Ouray and Telluride part because it's a bit more like steep and you feel closer to the mountain. Mm-hmm. Here it's more like a field in between the mountain. So longer approaches, but yeah, I like overall I really, really like this place.
One thing I wanted to ask you, because I know you and Katie, I've never been to the village where you guys live. Is Isola, is that what it's called?
So yeah, I've been living in Isola for a long time, which is like a ski resort.
Yeah.
2,000 meters, which means 6,000 feet, something. So now we have a house down in the valley in a smaller town, which has like 60 inhabitants.
Okay.
So that's really, really small, which is funny because when we talked with like our American friend, we told them, we're going to be in the St. John's, and they say, make sure you have food or you're going to be in a really remote place. But they actually don't know where we come from. So
that's what I was going to ask you, is like to compare where you guys live to Silverton, because for us in the North American trail running community, like you come here, it's really quiet, even during Hardrock week. Yeah. And of the places in the Colorado mountain towns, Silverton is one of like the smaller and more remote towns when you compare it to places like Telluride and Ouray and even like Crested Butte and Aspen and some of the ski resort destinations. So, but I've always known that you and Katie live in sort of a small and remote place. So maybe you could compare where you live to Silverton a little bit.
Yeah, I think easy comparison would be just our village in terms of size is probably 4 blocks of Silverton. So it shows you how small it is. And we have like no gas station, no bakery, only one restaurant open 3 days a week when it's not like dead season. So otherwise it's just like people living from hunting when it's hunting season. They have gardens, so they grow their vegetables, and that's all.
Yeah.
So, but we can run from the door, ski from the door. Yeah. So that's great.
I'm going to come visit you guys someday.
Yeah.
So in recent years, there's been some great French success here at Hardrock. Excuse me. Francois Den, Aurélien Dunant-Palaz. Of course, last year it was Ludo, and Ludo's back. To what extent have you been able to chat with those past and recent champions at Hardrock? And has there been any important pieces of advice or insight that they've given you as you approach your first Hardrock?
I really know those guys. So I've been chatting with everyone. I mean, Ludo is on site, so yeah, for sure we've been chatting. Aurélien, I've been chatting with him because we see each other more like during skimo season actually. Yeah. And I spent kind of some time with him last year at Diagonal on Reunion Island. So yeah, they're not like big advices, just get yourself ready to the altitude, and then that's the main thing I would say.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about that in a sec. First, let's talk about your season so far. You did, I think it was a 70K race at Chianti in the spring, and then you did Madeira about a month later. And it seemed to me like it was like one fast race and then one slow race. So maybe share a little bit about both performances and how they set you up for Friday.
Yeah. Chianti, I did the kid race. That was not the long race. I needed those like stones, like those like pieces of rock. Here I'm doing rocks, and Chianti I was doing stones. So yeah, I needed those stones for running in Chamonix sometime soon. So yeah, that was kind of not a last minute decision, but kind of, and was most of the time on the ski at that time. So yeah, we ended up working well. So that was cool. And then Madeira was the like bigger picture of the spring. I thought it would be a slow race, but it was really fast actually. Yeah. So yeah, there was a super great like field, and I think that was a good build up for this race, even if it was like 3 months before, but still.
Cool. So Katie was just in here and we talked about when you guys arrived, so you don't need to repeat that, but one of the things I would love for you to talk about is just kind of like adjusting to the new place when you're coming over. Obviously part of that is altitude, but part of it is cultural. Part of it is just like adjusting to a new time zone. And for you, we talked about this earlier this spring when we did an interview, but this is not your first time racing in the US, but definitely it's like the biggest race that you've done here in the US, not by the number of participants, but just in terms of the stature of the event. You've done like Speed Goat and Cirque Series, but you're here for Hardrock. So share a little bit about like the adjustment coming over from France, and like, because it seemed to me, or at least I kind of heard through the grapevine, obviously Katie had the issue where she fell and hurt her knee, but that it took a little bit for you guys to kind of find your rhythm in training. So share a little bit about that.
Yeah. So first, I had like, I've been living like several years at like 6,000 feet. So I was not really too much concerned about the altitude, but it was like a while ago. So I didn't know how I would react. And 3,000 is not 2,000. So we directly landed in Denver and directly went to Leadville. And I had like a few like hard days here. I went for runs where like my heart rate was incredibly high. Even like jogging down, I was like, sometimes I was freaking out a little bit. But it taught me to be really patient. So I think that's a really good point, especially for that race also. Yeah. So and then after 10 days in Leadville, we landed in Ouray, which is a bit lower, and then felt way better. Yeah. So I think I had to like start everything from scratch again in terms of like pace, nutrition, hydration, like recovery. So it's really interesting, and I think it took me like 3 or 4 weeks to just like understand how I should eat and drink and recover and train what I can handle at that altitude. Because I felt like training didn't make me extremely sore in terms of the legs and the joint, because you go way slower. Yeah. But it's like a general nervous system fatigue that is closer than what I used to have when I was biking, for example. Huh. So I could train like a lot, but I had to like take in consideration this like global fatigue.
Yeah. So then share a little bit about this final phase and building up, and if you were able to turn that around and how you're feeling. I'm sure you and Katie both sort of went dark on Strava, very upsetting to your fans, including myself. But I'd love to hear just like about the build up, to the extent you can share, like what training looked like for you, and how you're feeling physically, mentally, like where the fitness is at ahead of Friday.
Yeah, that's true. We didn't put anything on Strava, but just we wanted to just stay more in a quiet place and maybe not let people know where we were, just to be calm and peaceful. So I didn't have any problem this year in terms of like niggles or injury. I just cracked one rib in February, but that was better last year because I broke 2 ribs, so it's only cracked. So everything was good. We didn't run a lot on the race course. Actually, we went everywhere. We have like some patches that we didn't run on, but we did a lot of things around the race, like interesting trail, interesting peaks. But we didn't went crazy on like spotting the race route like we would spot at UTMB. You know, like
That's actually interesting to me. You know, because like last year Ludo did 2 soft rocks. I've heard he did 2 more this year. I think Mathieu did one of them with him.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it's definitely interesting looking at the field and like, because course knowledge is important here at Hardrock. It's something Katie and I just talked about. And I've been sending you videos from out of the course of like, hey, when you're here, make sure you don't take this wrong turn. And so I don't know. It is interesting to even just like hear you talk about why you decided not to do the loop, because like you said, you have done the full loop before UTMB.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
But here, I don't know. I feel like the race is maybe more on the adventure side. I know every places, but I never did the soft rock or like we were more doing out in bikes just for logistic because we didn't want to drive over like the dirt road places or stuff like that. And I'm not a big fan of running in the snow also. So once I've really post-hauled once or 2 times, I turned back. I prefer to ski on the snow, so I'm just like, I'm not going to do that. So yeah, I think it gives me like more curiosity and like more will to go through the different like passes and stuff like that. I'm going to take it like that. Yeah.
So looking at your experience with 100 milers, like especially the last 2 years. So in 2023, you double podiumed UTMB Diagonal des Fous. Last year, you had 2 late DNFs. Double late DNFs at the same race as UTMB and Diagonal des Fous. Talk about, like I'm sure you're excited to like bounce back from that at the distance. So if there's anything like in your head based on the disappointments of the long races you did last year or learnings that you hope to apply to Hardrock this weekend.
Yeah, that's true that those 2 years are like diametrically, the opposite style of races. But last year I had actually like some legs problem that happens more or less at the same times on both races. Really disturbing. I lost the coordination and the contraction in my muscle. So my legs could not handle my body, and I would just like in all of a sudden just like almost crash. So that was really disturbing. So I went through a lot of exam to just like check things in different like fields, and we didn't find anything because I have some history with like an injury from biking. So we wanted to see if the things were still okay. So that was a good point. We didn't find anything. So I took it like an opportunity to revamp all my nutrition things and change slight things, not everything, but like change a little bit the training, a little bit mental approach, like a little bit of everything, and we worked on a lot of things. So I feel like my main goal for this race is to finish. And then to be able to run after 12, 13 hours would be just like kind of a relief for me. Yeah. And then if it happens, it can bring me to a good place.
Yeah. Okay, great. So one thing I just talked to Katie about that I think it would be fun to get your contribution on as well is just like, if you compare Hardrock to UTMB Diagonal des Fous, they're very similar in terms of the distance and the statistics in terms of vertical, but they're so different in terms of the energy around them. Maybe just say a few words about like the feeling of being here in Silverton as it compares to some of the other bigger European races you've done.
Yeah, here it's really chill. It's not buzzing that much, like compared to what we know in like late August in France. It's maybe more authentic, I would say, more like close to the root of what ultra running is, and that's really peaceful to be here on the event. You kind of have these like cool and calm vibes. Obviously not a lot of like marketing activation a little bit, but not too much, which is like cool also for us as athletes. So you feel like I feel in a good place here, and definitely if you need to compare that to like Diagonal or UTMB, it's way more chill, and I mean it's 150 runners, right?
Yeah.
So and it's more like they say it's more a run than a race, and I think that's the short thing to describe the mood.
Yeah. You feel it when you're out there, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Feels
like you're out there all alone, mostly because you usually are.
Yeah.
That's what makes Hardrock a fun experience, is that it's usually a pretty solitary experience. So, but it won't be totally solitary. In fact, I have the honor of pacing you. So maybe we can wind down by talking about that a little bit, because I think the audience might find it kind of entertaining. I'm going to take you from Ouray to Telluride, 17-mile stretch over Virginia's Pass, and then Cordes Hall is going to take you from Telluride to the finish, which is like a 28-mile stretch through the night in a very difficult section. Roles were supposed to be reversed, and I texted you probably like a month ago and said, "Hey, buddy, like I'm not confident I'll be able to keep up with you. Can I pull the shorter section?" So anyway, maybe you could say a few words about the team that you have assembled, but also, will you drop me? And we needed to have a prediction contest for everybody who watches this on YouTube, whether or not Debo is able to keep up with Germain over Virginia's Pass. Okay. So maybe share a little bit about the team that's going to be helping you around the course, and whether or not you think you're going to leave me in the rearview mirror going up Camp Bird Road.
I hope no. No, I'm confident we can run together. I would be pretty smoked on that road. It's funny because at the beginning I didn't see the Camp Bird Road name wrote down. I thought it was Camper Road. Yeah. And I told Cordes, can you pace me like in Camper Road? And he said, "Oh, Camp Bird." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Whatever. When you do Hardrock, you can name him whatever you want." So that was kind of a funny thing, and I told him, "Okay, it's gonna be Camper Road for me because there's a lot of camper on that road."
Yeah, there are.
Yeah. So the team around me, it's basically the same as my last races. So it will be Jason and Sarah, I think, for my aid station. Abby and Cordes will be doing Sherman for me.
Oh, great. So for the audience, a crew will drive around to the far aid station at Sherman.
Yeah, just that one because it's kind of remote. And then the other one will be like the normal crew. And then I'm going to join you for the gentle climb to cover north.
The biggest climb on the course. Yeah. It's
that's
like a
so long.
3-hour climb or something. Yeah.
And then having Cordes for the end, the night part.
Yeah. Well, I'm honored to be on the team.
Cool.
So to everybody who watches this, now you have to leave a comment about, you have to make the prediction of whether or not,
here,
it's
down there.
Whether or not we get Debo gets dropped by Germain, by Serge. All right. Finally, tell us about the 4th of July 10K, because it seemed like you and Ludo had a real sprint finish here in Silverton, and you were rocking your boy Scott Jurek hat. Yeah. You were in full Serge attire. Yeah. It seemed like it was your final tune-up for Hardrock. I'm sure the audience would find it entertaining.
That was the last key workout. Yeah, so it started with a breakfast of 100 grams of carbs, No, I joke. So, it started like I texted Ludo and asked him, "Do you want to do the like 10K 4th of July race tomorrow? I'm just gonna jog it." And he said, "Yeah, for sure." But Ludo is 49 years old, but he's he's a big kid. So we started jogging, and then after every little turn, he was just like doing a small acceleration, Then we went by the chairlift, and that was like how do we say in France, the GPM. It's like that's what it is in the Tour de France. So you get the points at the top of the climb.
Okay, yeah.
So he was doing that, And then at the end, he accelerated, and I understand he wanted to do the sprint, so we did the sprint.
Yeah. And you got him.
I got him. But honestly, I didn't believe it because he kind of like pushed me away in the gravel part and stay in the grass part. But yeah, he's so funny. Well, and then at the finish, I said to his wife, "It's crazy. It's still a big kid." And he said, "Oh yeah, and you didn't see him partying. It's crazy."
Well, so you were able to beat Ludo in the very illustrious Silverton 10K on the 4th of July. Let's see if you can stay in front of him on Friday. That'll be a fun little rematch. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Germain, I'm excited to be able to share a little bit of your Hardrock experience. I'm excited you get to experience Hardrock yourself. Yeah. Thanks for coming into the studio, and best of luck on Friday.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and hope to see you in good shape in Ouray.
Oh, we're ready, buddy.